Welcome to another edition of the CivBattleRoyale. My name is Dawkinzz, and this is episode 4, From the Ashes. Wars heat up, cities flip, and unique abilities and units start doing their things. This part's narrated by X-Rock and starts on turn 91. So without further ado, let's get right into this. 17 months later, and the time has come again. X-Rock here to put some music between the notes. A new set of civs to write about with some very interesting uniques, but this time they're all still alive when my turn comes around. Last episode we saw a concerning amount of city raisings and a couple of nations approaching death's door. What horrors will the Wars of the Cylinder bring? Let's find out together. Sevastopol Station gives us a lovely monument to the standouts of the opening era with nice write-ups of their exploits worthy of being on a plaque in the thread. Our old friend Varia is still at it with these lovely, simple, tile-accurate territory maps. Take a good look. And a redundant sofa brings us this series of stylized maps with limited city names and secondary color borders. Look at its beauty. The provisional all-Russian government holds on to the top spot, strong stat positions, good tech, and progress in an undistracted war. Nothing appears to stand in their way. We begin with a view of the western Mediterranean, where Jerusalem defends against a coalition of Kosovo to the northwest and Hejaz to the south. Ibrahim Rugova's army opts for the amphibious approach, embarking into the sea to strike directly at the core. But Jerusalem holds position and lines the coast, ready to fend off the attack as they look for room for 3 settlers to settle. Unfortunately for them, they are mostly boxed in, the only option being some barren desert to the south between them and Hejaz. Andres de Santa Cruz had a plan, and it was a bad one. His forward settle of Lima into Mapuche core was razed, as many others were in the Millennium of Fire, and Lautaro was not content to end it with that. As his troops advanced on La Paz, we can actually see the Mapuche unique ability, Legacy of Arauco, in action. Since discovering the calendar, units that die on unimproved or pillaged tiles create their unique Chemamul improvement and claim the tile. We also see their unique Great General, the Toki, to the south, the horse with the horizontal pixel diamond icon, which attacks as a melee unit but can't capture cities. Maratha's next nearest melee unit is 5 turns away, so La Paz survives for now, but its land is another story. Ilai is now fully under Uzbek control, and the armies advance westward on Kurdistan. Ranjit Singh seems comfortable enough leaving the new city of Peshawar undefended, hoping the common war against Kurdistan will keep relations steady. The Uzbekistan capital of Tashkent celebrates its completion of the Gate of the Sun, giving +1 gold and faith from walls. The Dene and the Chinook declared war on the 3 affiliated tribes a couple of turns ago, and now the troops advance. Fort Bears has plenty of defense watching Konkomli's push through the mountain pass, but perhaps should have been more prepared for their old enemy in the north as Sipusha's farmlands begin to be trampled by soldiers. An uneasy calm runs through the air across southern North America. Mississippi and the Tongva are technically at war, but kept apart by Rio Grande and mountains. A group of chariot archers near Moundville contemplate heading through a mountain pass, but without melee support, they wouldn't accomplish much. Raja I is not deterred by the recent Punjab aggressions and resettles Thiruvarur in its original location, now behind enemy lines. A handful of Chola units push to retake Nagapattinam, but lack the numbers to effectively fight the large force between there and the freshly settled Wazirabad. Simon Bolivar and Lautaro agree to end their conflict in order to focus on other wars. Another strong, unique ability shows itself as Yuan's Mandate Lost deals damage to all of northern Yuan's cities, proving that Yuan has at least all the tech that their aggressors do. This city damage appears to be forcing Mandukai's troops to retreat, as this army was last seen a little closer to Yuan borders when war was declared. Elsewhere, Punjab and Chola agree to peace, and Jamaica punches up across the continent as it declares war on the Mapuche. A naval assault, perhaps? It appears after Vercingetorix invaded and razed Santiago de Compostela, he intended to settle the area himself. But the Spanish settler just off the coast has turned back and is currently in the ruins with an escort. The Gauls could settle where they are, and they do go first in the turn order, but maybe they are set to access to the Atlantic. A small detachment of the Welsh Navy harasses Durocortorum, but possesses no significant threat. Palermo finishes construction of the Colossus as Sicilian troops flow northeast through the city to Germany, as fast as you can flow through single-tile chokes in rough terrain. Frankfurt is almost threatened, but reinforcements are nearby. The scramble for the Congo continues, with Namibia settling Rehoboth anew, this time a little closer to home. This leaves Zaire with plenty of jungle to lay claim to, but the only settler in view is southwest of Bukavu, possibly making a break for the far southeast coast before the borders between Lesotho cities converge. The other wars declared upon the Mapuche begin to be relevant as ships flying the green flag of Colombo dos Palmares finally reach Curarewa. More follow, but the first to arrive makes a solo attack, the damage dealt immediately recovered. Vercingetorix missed his chance, and Santiago de Compostela is resettled. They are, however, still at war, and the Gauls advance again. Elsewhere, the Mapuche dogpile continues, with the Tongva joining in. Another city rises from the ashes as Berezniki is also resettled, and the provisional all-Russian government army advances upon it again. Whether they continue on past the mountains to attack the Great Perm Corps afterwards is the question. The Kulin declare war on Malacca and immediately launch an assault from their distant colony of Kularu, a brazen forward settle amid the Anagu. Mansur Shah has been sending most of his troops north in his war on Vietnam, leaving only a few composite bowmen and swordsmen nearby, and may lose Rokan. It's inevitable when two capital cities are only 5 tiles apart, and Cleopatra has decided she has had enough of Baldwin III. Ships strike immediately, a warning shot of things to come as the Ptolemaic armies cross the desert. Elsewhere, 2 Sicilies in Germany call it quits for now. A quick view of the southern Australian island zone confirms the Tahitian city on New Zealand, so say hello to Pora Pora. Hawaii scouts the area, but the Kulin are already tapping Tasmania for resources. This might be as close as Lautaro's armies get as the Peru-Bolivian reinforcements arrive to defend La Paz. One more tile was claimed via legacy of Arauco, and now, even though the improvement graphic is not visible, the Mapuche have at least 4 tiles improved with Chemamals to offer +1 culture and +2 faith in Penco and Perkinco. Chemamals, Che meaning people, and Mamals meaning wood, so wood people. That's a monument to them. If they can keep enemy troops off of them, that's great. Zanzibar returns to peace as their war with Namibia ends. Yuan and Northern Yuan continue to clash, but the numbers are even and neither side seems likely to progress. Gran Colombia and Paraguay end hostilities, and Jerusalem's problems mount as their northern neighbor of Georgia declares war. Hussein bin Ali has done a lovely job of settling the fertile coastline and leaving the empty desert to be empty desert. A group of Hejaz troops retreat and recoup outside Tripoli as reinforcements catch up, and Kurdistan units, once assaulting the Ptolemies, make their way back to defend against Uzbekistan. The Punjab religion of Sikhism enhances their beliefs and now gain combat strength near enemy cities following their religion. Malacca continues to push on Vietnam, now reaching the newer settlement of Haiphong. They appear to have the numbers to take it, but the jungle and mountains make the land approach rough. Burkina Faso also seeks to return to peace, giving Namibia one less threat to worry about. And the Palmares fleet finds success. Kurarawe is taken, and the Mapuche are left scrambling to attempt a recapture before it can recover too much. 3 melee boats doesn't do much for taking out those attackers though, so defense is all up to the city's ranged attack. Iceland's colony in the New World has been hosting more and more troops, and now the time has come as war is declared on the neutral nation. The forces in and around Mosfellsbær are more than enough to overwhelm Niagara's defenders, but taking a city of that size is another thing with only archers and no siege weaponry. Llewellyn continues to send ships at the skirmish between Abertawe and Durocortorum and brings the Gaul city down to half, but appears short on reinforcements to capitalize. Rather than counterattack the Welsh, Vercingetorix focuses on Spain, about to capture Santiago de Compostela again. The Chukchi send a small fleet down to Erdemo Be Aliha, but unlike Lautaro with Kure Rewa, Nurhaci has 4 ranged units nearby to support, making fending off only 3 ships a simple matter. Japan sends a settler to the southern end of their own island. Finally. Further north, the Manchurian army pushes on Nagaoka, and if they commit, they can succeed. This theater of war should be a good display of the Chukchi's unique ability. Oh my god. Anapiara Tirgin. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Units provide culture and damage adjacent enemies upon earning a promotion, and may force units to retreat when starting within Chukchi territory. Killing enemy units adjacent to Chukchi borders claims that tile. Played right, Nurhaci could add a few extra tiles to the city before capturing it. Northwest Africa builds up in peaceful times. None of the nations seen here are currently at war with each other. Elsewhere, the Third Lao-Vietnam War comes to an end after only 6 turns. The Dene declare war on Hawaii, but they may not wind up being relevant. Mansur Shah has repelled the attack on Rakan with returning naval support, and Malaccan ships pick off retreating land units. Cullen reinforcements are several turns away, and Kularu is looking rather vulnerable. The Dutch East India Company has a pretty solid carpet built up on its tall 2-city core. Hopefully John Cohen has plans to use it. Relevant enough, a combat alliance with the Dene has given Perea the confidence to snap back at Hawaii, and troops flow into the ocean. Despite being a lone, distant colony up against their opponent's core, Tahiti has no problem sending naval support in the early game. Their unique unit trireme replacement, the Pahi, which you can see 3 of in the Fa'a'a waters, has the ability, like cargo ships, to change ports, allowing ships produced back in their South Pacific core to make the journey safely in 1 turn. It's pretty powerful. The Uzbek army has reached Kurdistan proper, and a proper carpet awaits them. It does not appear that they will make progress, even with a slight advantage fielding composite bowmen. Simon Bolivar makes enemies across the world as Tongva and the 3 affiliated tribes declare war on Gran Colombia. Nigeria sends a couple of settlers with light escorts down the coast, a fairly safe proposition as Namibia had no coastal cities to produce ships. Until now, as we witness the freshly founded city of Gibeon, which blocks off most of that coastline from being settled. The southern tip of Africa is still open, but a colony that far away on the far side of an active war opponent doesn't often work out. Gran Colombia's forces reach the Peru-Bolivia border, clashing with northern defenses escorting a settler. Andres de Santa Cruz's armies are looking a bit thin after ages of war with the Mapuche. Nearby, the Mapuche religion of Huitran Mapu enriches themselves through faith, their temples now providing +4 culture. The Gauls breach the fortifications of Santiago de Compostela once again, and this time do not reduce it to ruins. A recapturing force embarks for an amphibious assault, leaving Barcelona to fend for itself in order to strike now while the city's health is low. The Welsh push has petered out, and for now they hold back in defense, but they could properly use another land unit or 2 outside Caernarfon. No reinforcements in sight, the 6 triremes close in on Kularu. Vulnerable indeed. A couple of the fleeing melee units have escaped from the boats onto islands, and that composite bowman should be able to help from there. The warrior replacement Diorite Axeman, however, might be better off back in the water fighting it out. The Inter-Yuan War comes to an end, and New Netherlands enters their first war as they declare on Rio Grande. Nukin continues to fend off against Marajawara, but this time a significant wave of troops advances, likely to do some damage. To the south, the Mapuche recapture Cororewe from the Palmares on the coast. This turn we also had another religious enhancement. This time Jerusalem's Mandanism is improving their missionaries' conversion strength. Christian Eldjarn holds back as more units arrive, a single trireme testing the waters outside Niagara. A couple neutral units skirmish with the Icelandic troops outside Masfellsberg. New Netherlands units appear to move north, but why? Rio Grande is to the south, clearly new to this whole war thing. As you may have noticed, not all war and peace declarations make it on the screen, and we missed Burkina Faso declaring war on the Tuareg last turn. They immediately shred the village of Zinder and push into the forces surrounding the capital of Abalesa. In other notifications missed, Jerusalem talks Kosovo and Hejaz into peace. Berezniki is once again captured by the Parg, and like Santiago de Compostela, is also not razed this time. Kolchak appears set on advancing, and fielding horsemen, swordsmen, and catapults holds a solid advantage. Uzbekistan creeps into the region, settling northward. Another shot of a peaceful Central Africa with a regional ScoutCon 400 convening in the neutral deserts outside of Kolwezi. I thought neutrals were in North America. Gran Colombia expands through the remaining unclaimed jungle, settling the city of Panama at the mouth of the Amazon River to commemorate a return to peace with Peru-Bolivia. A quick look at the top 8 military strengths as we reach turn 100. Let's use the rest of this space to talk about some upcoming missing war declarations. On turns 100 to 102, a series of group declarations of war are made, and we have a full-on 5-on-5 coalition war. In the red corner, we have Great Perm, Malacca, Bhutan, Northern Yuan, and Kosovo. In the blue corner, it's Chola, Georgia, Soviet Russia, Ptolemies, and Punjab. Germany and Two Sicilies also tag along on the blue team, declaring on 3 and 2 of the opposing nations respectively. We also get Hejaz and Taiping Heavenly Kingdom declaring war on Vietnam, followed by a bunch of declarations on Hejaz by the Soviet Union, Somalia, the Vandals, Uzbekistan, Ptolemies, and Laos. Burkina Faso is successful in Zinder and now focuses on thinning the defenses around Abalesa. The Tuareg have mounted a counter-assault on the sparsely defended Tenkodogo, which may need backup. Hawaii also agrees to peace with Peru-Bolivia, thank goodness. New Netherlands might know how to fight wars good after all, sending 5 warriors with ranged support at Monclova, defended only by a single archer. Meanwhile, 5 triremes round the Panhandle and enter the Gulf, headed for Tampico with only 1 defender in their way. Georgia settles Nicosia on the Caspian Sea, establishing something of a contiguous border with their new allies, the Soviet Union. The Georgian Corps is well stocked with units, but they should begin deploying soon. The seas are clear for now, but soon the Bay of Bengal will be swarming with units as their coalition war kicks off. A couple of Malaccan triremes nearby are already seeing some action as they move on the Cholan city of Orayar, and one of the many Bhutan's unique archer replacements, the Dapan, embarks from Phoncholing to join them. Kosovo pushes across the Black Sea for an early attack on Meskheta. Questionable when they have one of the worst positions in this conflict, with 5 hostile neighbors in Two Sicilies, Germany, Soviet Russia, Georgia, and the Ptolemies. They're going to need that manpower to fight off attackers, not capture cities they will not be able to hold. To the south in the Mediterranean, Kosovo forces continue to aggress, clashing with Sicilian ships around Capua. Ptolemaic forces embark from Africa to join the fight, and Ibrahim Rugova may soon regret losing too many forces on failed offensives. Back in southern Africa, Nigeria continues to attack Gibeon, weakening it significantly. If it falls, Namibia has plenty of land forces ready to recapture it, and it doesn't look like Nigeria sent enough to capture more than once. Punjab, in addition to the coalition, has also declared war on Hejaz, seeking more control of the Gulf of Oman and to banish them back to Arabia. Spearmen defending Rabai waste no time and intercept the invaders before they reach the borders. Uzbek troops also begin the trek to Rabai from their new outpost of Bukhara. Jakove comes under heavy assault as Two Sicilies mobilizes its core carpet. Germany also advances from the north, and Kosovo may be overwhelmed in short order. Hejaz manages to end one conflict, negotiating peace with the Chola. Bhutanese forces push west, clearing a path to Gajranwala. Whether they have success or not is another issue. Ranged units tend to have trouble in dense forest. 2 triremes aren't going to be enough to take Orayr, as a trireme of their own arrives to repel the Malaccan vessels. Peru, Bolivia, and the Mapuche finally agreed to peace, Andres de Santa Cruz giving away La Paz to make it happen. A settler is sent north with escort to settle a new second city. Nuken holds strong in the jungle under attack from both Marajoara and Quilombo dos Palmares. Zanzibar fields a solid carpet but seems to be content remaining at peace. Zaire looks like a viable target with 2 sparsely defended cities nearby, but only if Bargash bin Said acts soon. Uzbekistan and Kurdistan agree to peace. Nigeria flips Gibeon with more forces than expected to spare. Namibia is sure to recapture shortly. We'll see who runs out of resources first. The New Netherlands assault continues, and both pushes on Tampico and Monclova have reached their destinations. Rio Grande backup is still a ways off, and it may already be too late. Wales has had millennia of chances to settle the islands for themselves, and now the chances have run out. Spain settles the southern tip of Ireland with Murcia, and another settler rounds the coast to land up north as well. The Olmec religion of Tzolk'in enhances their beliefs, gaining additional faith when great people do great things. Iceland has begun making their move and have fought off most of the neutral nation's defenses, opening up Niagara. A couple of settlers with escorts try to escape into northern Quebec, but one is caught and surrounded. A Mississippi settler has also found their way up here, establishing Etowah. Great Perm also finds themselves surrounded by enemies in this conflict, with Soviet Russia, Georgia, and the Parg coming at them from all sides. Soviet Russia advances on Yarensk and Sykivkar. In peace declarations, we have Kurdistan and Punjab and New Netherlands and Rio Grande. You had them under your thumb, Peter. That better be a pretty luxury-loaded peace deal with neither of those cities handed over. Lesotho enters their 3rd ever war, and it's the 3rd one with Namibia. Mashushu I sends his troops west into their core, catching them from behind as Jacob Marenga focuses on the Gibeon situation. The southern tip of Africa is finally settled as Lesotho establishes Kacha's Neck, and Namibia has 2 settlers on the way. Kosovo finds success in the Black Sea, taking Mtskheta. It's likely to flip back, but the damage has been done. Soviet Russia arrives to support, chariot archers taking shots at the ships in the water. Nuken continues to be an impenetrable fortress, stalling the Marajoaran and Palmares advances. Paraguay settles Ibacui on the far side of Nuken because everyone loves a little border gore. Across the ocean, Gibeon is recaptured by Namibia. Ranjit Singh's peace treaty with Kurdistan comes as a mixed bag of blessings. While they did receive Kirkuk in the deal, it also halted the advance on Rabai for both Punjab and Uzbekistan, as the units stationed in the city are booted out into the nearest unoccupied tiles, blocking their path down to a single tile along the coast. Ranjit also ends a distant irrelevant war with Vietnam. The Gauls get Wales off their backs with a peace treaty and continue to press the attack into Spain, on the doorstep of Barcelona with their unique swordsman, the Oathsworn. They have +1 combat strength, and upon death, they buff adjacent allies with a 10-turn temporary promotion that increases combat strength by 10% per level earned, up to 50%. The nearby Ptolemaic religion of dodecatheism sings louder than ever, their word reaching 30% further away. Two Sicilies succeed in Jarkove, driving Kosovo back to their capital. A southern force approaches Pristina from Chieti, but the 4 ranged units there should be able to repel it. Gran Colombia and Paraguay join forces to attack Marajoara. The neutral nation have settled Kin Autatoa on the Hudson coast. Unfortunately, this map cuts off in the north and grants no proper ocean access. Their other settler is still trapped by Icelandic forces and their escort on its knees. They could settle where they are, but they have a destination in mind and anywhere else simply won't do. New Netherlands arrives with a settler to possibly claim Mount Katahdin and expand the NN-NN border. The Punjab carpet is a little thin on the Bhutan border after centuries of war to the south and west, and now Bhutanese troops advance. The hilly terrain saves the northern cities from immediate threat, but Gajranwala sees a lot of an unfamiliar shade of orange approaching from the northeast. From the next scene, Bhutan's capital of Thimphu completes the Hanging Gardens. Germany and Sweden are still at war, and as far as we have seen, only led to sparse naval skirmishes. The Teutonic Order refuses to remain a city-state and gets a settler out into the gap between Germany and the Soviet Union, founding Memel. The Cullen's first war comes to a close too, ending hostilities with Malacca, and Nigeria flips Gibeon again. With that southern distraction out of the way, Malacca returns to focus on Vietnam. The Wall of Spearmen looks like solid defense for Saigon, but Haiphong looks a little more vulnerable. Having to work around Laos's resettled territory does make it more difficult for them. After the original Thakek was razed by Malacca after receiving it in a peace deal, it was settled anew to the west, and just recently the city of Paksay settled in the old ruins. Burkina Faso has lost Tenkodogo to the Tuareg and is in danger of losing more. Abalessa's defenses have exhausted most of Sankara's troops, though the force assigned to Ubari still looks capable of completing their task. Bobo Diolaso's walls are about to take at least a few hits too. This turn also sees a stack of peace declarations as members of the coalition wars shed the wars they have no interest in. Chola, Georgia, Soviet Russia are done with Bhutan, Great Perm, Malacca, and Northern Yuan, and Ptolemies with those 4 minus Malacca. In summary, screw Kosovo. A small Tongva fleet travels down the coast but finds nothing to attack, only the arrows from Olmec troops safely on the ground. Their unique spearmen, the Konokswu, prowl the dense hilly forest and jungle, making progressing on land a difficult prospect. There are 3 possible tiles to settle to create a valuable canal city here, but no settlers in sight. Someone get on that, please. Marajoara is ready for war and quickly pushes on Gran Colombia's less defended eastern reaches. Panama seems certain to fall, but Quito might have enough to make it with the jungle impenetrability. Gibeon is recaptured again by Namibia in the background. Somalia has been at war with Hejaz for several turns now, but hesitates to advance. Hussein bin Ali has had his ranged units line the coast, making crossing the Gulf of Aden a costly move. In the background, 2 Sicilies and Punjab end their war with Northern Yuan. Finally, a look at Iceland's core, if a bit off-center. A fleet of Spanish triremes gather outside Garabir, though where they are headed is unclear. Spain is now at peace after negotiations with the Gauls, keeping hold of Barcelona. Japan makes use of this time at peace and expands its mainland holdings, settling Nagoya and Sanjo in the northern forests. Northern Yuan settles north as well, establishing Hohhot and sending another one even further, likely to settle along the mountains. Germany ends its excess conflicts, reaching peace with Great Perm, Northern Yuan, and Sweden, getting the city of Gothenburg in that particular deal. With only Kosovo left, Wilhelm II's forces march east on Ferizaj, forming a mighty pincer with Soviet Russia. The city seems doomed to fall, but into whose hands? Gibeon changes hands for the 5th time, back to Nigeria. It's a good game of ping pong. Kurdistan's gift to Punjab and the resulting peacekeepers have prevented sending units to reinforce it, leaving it easy pickings for Hejaz. Kirkuk's defenses have been reduced to nothing. A melee unit must merely reach the gates. In New Wars news, Hejaz declares on the Manchu, and Jerusalem and the Dutch East India Company declare on Punjab. The South Pacific is confirmed to be devoid of settlements, just a handful of Tahitian units presumably headed down to Porapora. The Teutonic Order's escape from city-state status has angered Sweden and the Provisional All-Russian Government sufficiently enough for them to declare war. Kirkuk has been taken and Hussein bin Ali orders the city burned. Tabuk and Rabai apparently sufficient for the region. Punjab joins the war on Manchu as a token gesture but continues to focus their efforts on Rabai. The Uzbek religion of Shia enhances and now spreads 25% faster. Gibeon flip counter, 6. Are these Anangu warriors headed somewhere? They're not at war with anyone. Among them are a couple of their unique scout replacement, the Warmala, which spawns a settler when discovering an unowned natural wonder. Namibia arranges peace with Lesotho, still trying to keep Gibeon under their control. Burkina Faso succeeds in Ubari, and Kidal is almost completely undefended, only an archer and a single tile of access between mountains saving it. Further east, troops continue to clash in the desert. Speaking of troops, look at all those Vandal uniques out there. Alani horsemen, that's a lot of horses. Ah, there's the reason for the Manchu Wars. Yuan didn't want to act alone. Kublai Khan and Nurhaci have been playing citadel tag, going back and forth between capitals. Each side has 2 more to drop, but now they must make those moves in live combat. That was not core overflow. Chilpi has to be planning something because the Anagu core has been emptied out to send them somewhere. They have yet to be involved in a single war. Is this a grand and risky plan for an opening conflict? Finland and the Teutonic Order make peace. A citadel is pillaged and the opening skirmishes clash as the Parg joins in declaring on Manchu. Tongva seeks peace with the rest of North America and signs treaties with the Mississippi and the Olmecs. Gibeon flip counter, 7. A new wave of settlements begin to dot the inner Chinese mainland, Bhutan and Taipei Heavenly Kingdom with fresh cities and Yuan sending 2 settlers. Wangdu was first in the area, and another settler will expand control in the area as well. The twin cities of Wusong and Jiujiang are an interesting pair, settled the minimum distance apart on the same turn. Sweden, like Wales, has been hitting the snooze button on settling opportunities and now has a German and Finnish infestation on the coast of the Norwegian Sea. There are settlers on the way to fill the gaps, but the problem's already here. The Parg declared this war, but Northern Yuan was the one ready for it. A decent army pours out of Yingchang and Ik-Kuri, and their odds of taking these fresh northern settlements looks good. The Marajawara capture Panama and significant forces bear down on Quito. Gran Colombia has plenty of units in reserve, but is having trouble with the jungle getting them to the fight. We can also partially see their new Pacific coastal city of Santo Tomas taking a scratch, presumably from Tongvan triremes. Kosovo's in trouble. Their land units scramble to defend the capital while the Sicilian navy controls everything outside the Aegean Sea. Mitrovica is likely to be threatened once Capua is secure. In other wars, the VOC and Parg declare war on Laos. Where are you sending them, Chilpi? All we can tell at this point is north. The units are pointed a mix of northeast and northwest, and it's hard to be sure as they navigate the islands. Tahiti also raises questions here. Where did they get regular triremes? You can see the unique Pahi right next to it. A Japanese settler arrives from the north, and a Cullen settler is about to claim the island in the Gulf of Carpataria. Gibeon, flip counter, 8. The Chukchi Corps. Kagirgan completed the Great Wall a few turns back, but we can see it here. The effect of their unique ability previously detailed on slide 30 can also be seen with the rapid growth of territory west of Nagaoka. We also get a look at their unique composite bowman replacement with double rough terrain defense bonuses, experience gain from any adjacent enemy death, and instant heals on promotions. Pretty nice. Elsewhere, Burkina Faso reclaims Tenkodogo from the Tuareg. Iceland advances towards Niagara, having finally dealt with the neutral settler, now a captive worker. Sad. But the land army is looking a little light now, too many units lost in the conflict. A large fleet of triremes roll in, but attacking in the one-tile-wide St. Lawrence River doesn't get much done. New Netherlands also slips a settler into Quebec and searches for a prime location. Northern Yuan is the target of the next group war, by the way, with Kurdistan, Vietnam, and Japan stepping up. Burkina Faso might be able to keep this going. They temporarily lose Tenkodogo again, but will probably secure it shortly. The Tuareg reserve in Agat dwindle. If this keeps up, the capital may soon be vulnerable. Nigeria joins Wales in declaring war on Iceland as they take control of Gibeon for the 5th time. Nobody likes it when Iceland messes with the neutrals. The Marajawaran frontline swordsmen sacrifice themselves to clear a path, removing most of the Grand Colombian melee units from the area, leaving them with the composite bowman advantage in ranged units and better access to Quito. Laos and Wales join the Northern Yuan hate train, bringing the recent wars declared on them up to 7. Ouch. Northern Yuan advances on Vladivostok, surrounding this city. Tomsk sends its defenders to assist in an effort to save the city, but it may be too little too late. Without further backup from the core, both these cities may be lost. It's still unknown where all those Anangu warriors were headed, but the important thing is they're not defending their core, and the Cullen jump on this opportunity. Most of their units have gathered west of the capital of Matajulo, set to march across mostly undefended open desert to the gates of the city. Vietnam negotiates peace with the Taipei Heavenly Kingdom as well. Vladivostok falls, and further south we see Krasnoyarsk about to be cut off and surrounded as well. It looks like reinforcements have reached Saratov, but any notable help with the imminent threats are still turns away. Icelandic troops head back east after a peace deal is reached with the neutral nation in order to deal with the Welsh. The middle of the UK island is unclaimed as well. Sending a settler with those troops might not be a bad idea. Spain's other settler does make landfall on Northern Ireland and claims the territory. After giving away Gothenburg in the peace deal, Sweden gathers the troops around Stockholm, preparing to assault Königsberg. The Teutonic Order's meager navy gets a little overeager, and one trireme approaches Stockholm, now in range of 5 ranged attacks. Good luck. Chukchi and Taipei Heavenly Kingdom also declare war on Northern Yuan. They really don't like them. Despite being completely surrounded and cut off from the rest of the Cullen, Kularu can hold its ground here for some time. Its defenders can handle attackers currently in the area, and a majority of the Anangu military are turns away out in the ocean, and also more desperately needed in their capital. Another Cullen settler near the new Gulf Island city of Marpingbalug might have gone too far, and is about to be captured north of Warakurna. Hejaz continues to turtle up, and a coast lined with chariot archers covers the Red Sea quite well. Hermopoli does allow the Ptolemies a safe route across, however, without those troops crossing could be a risk for capture. The Great Perm's Eastern Orthodoxy enhances, but what that belief actually is unclear. These notification logs aren't perfect, guys. A clear look at the 3 northern settlements of the Mississippi, Emerald Mound, Kincaid, and Etowah, and 2 more settlers also roam the bodies of water. Iceland got Kinatatoa in their peace deal, and New Netherlands' settler looks for that Quebec coast. Poor neutrals. So Harrison, I had so much hope for you. I don't know what's going on. Ukixchan wants another round with Marcus Garvey, and this time he doesn't need any help. Olmec, Konuxwu, and triremes swarm Portmore, and Jamaica's navy in their core is not as plentiful as it should be. A trickle of Tongvan navy continues to harass Santo Tomas, and the Gibeon flip counter is at 10. Poor citizens of Gibeon. I wonder how many are left. Maybe 2 or 3? Two Sicilies descend on Pristina from the northwest and south, a string of composite bowmen filing in from Prizreni and beyond to try and stop the assault. In the north, Frenzaj appears to have repelled the initial attacks. Elsewhere, the Mapuche get a reprieve from Palmares with a peace deal, and the Manchu-Chukchi conflict also comes to a close. Welsh troops cross the Irish Sea as triremes clash in the North Channel, while a small detachment of Icelandic units advance on land. Germany is about to slip a settler in on the unclaimed area, swiping most of the prize of this conflict. One more religious enhancement from the Mississippi's Southern Cult, which gives all cities +1 to all yields at the cost of -10 culture and science from the palace. A potential worthy sacrifice. Jan Cohen somehow had faith that the park would actually help them, but between the disparity of military in the area and the Citadel stealing most of Pontianac's land tiles, they start off on the back foot already. Laos might actually have a successful conquest here. The Dene and 3 affiliated tribes finally make peace, but the Chinook aren't done with Four Bears. Troops move east from Nyakoksi through the mountains, but the tribe's units wait on the other side of the pass, picking units off one by one. Off the coast, Komkomli's unique workboat with a ranged attack, the Ekwe-A, patrol in numbers. Quito is almost surrounded yet still unscathed. Gran Colombia units hang back outside of other cities, aware their archers and chariot archers aren't getting the job done. Kosovo strikes a peace deal with Germany, taking care of one threat at least. Since we last saw it, Mesquita flipped to Georgia and back so quickly it didn't even show up on the minimap. In that shuffle, Georgia lost their frontline melee units and have been unable to capture it since. Gridlock of ranged units surrounding the city. Soviet Russia has an opportunity to snipe here, a swordsman in the waters. Jerusalem and Georgia agreed to a peace deal. Gibeon flip counter is now up to 11. The Cullen army continues to advance on the Anangu capital, barely a defender in sight. Only 2 nearly defeated units stand between them and the surrounding city. Sleepy's ocean-bound warriors are nowhere in sight. The latest in peace negotiations has Gran Colombia ending the war with the Tongva and Hawaii and the Dene as well. The Gibeon flip counter is up to 12. Japan joining this Northern Yuan dogpile may wind up costing them. Sanjo is undefended and defenders are only just reaching Kashiwazaki. Northern Yuan continues to get north. Chilin Hot, founded north of Sanjo, and another settler in Hot Hot likely heads north as well. Bhutan's western front begins to fade under Punjab pressure. Paro begins to take damage, and the reserves coming from Thimphu leave empty land between them. To the north, both nations have just founded a city in Central Asia, just a stone's throw away from each other. Mansur Shah refocuses the aim of his troops, and rather than trek through the swamp and jungle, they simply embark to the sea and land at the city gates. Haiphong's walls crumble, and the next attack could capture it. Paraguay and Marajoara agree to peace. The Olmecs continue to look good as they progress in the Caribbean. Portmore weakens as the Jamaican Navy thins, and it looks like their course is changing from to the moon to the ground. Final Gibeon flip counter is 13. That must be a record for one episode, and it wasn't even the whole episode. Jeez. Krasnoyarsk has managed to repel the attack from Northern Yuan, but a settler has given them a resupply zone with the outpost of Erdenezu. If Mandukai can send those units around the south of that mountain range, they might have better luck. Gran Colombia returns to peace and ends its remaining wars with Marajoara and the 3 affiliated tribes. With the citadels all pillaged, troops flood the plains between the capitals, no longer concerned with incidental damage. Both sides have a sizable army behind the front, but Yuan has the technological advantage. The Vandals and Uzbekistan hop aboard the Northern Yuan hate train, bringing them to 11 active wars. I don't know what they did. Anangu warriors scatter as a fleet of Cullen triremes have come to intercept them on their route home, and Tahiti Pahis look for a route around the island to attack Hilo. Japan's settler continues down the island chain looking for that perfect spot. Jerusalem pleads for mercy, and the Ptolemies relent, granting them peace. We close this episode with Scandinavia and a look at the Swedish and Finnish cores. Sweden has spread a little thin and has been having problems with Germany, while Finland has a fairly dense core but is a bit behind technologically speaking. Speaking of tech, these last few turns have seen a few civs crack into the medieval era, including Nigeria, the Chukchi, and Malacca. And with the classic era coming to a close, so does this episode. This has been a hell of a part that I'm glad I got to narrate. So much lovely conflict with an interesting web of alliances. Until next time, this has been X-Rock, and I'll see you around the sub. And this has been me, Dawkinzz. I wanted to thank you for watching and listening and being a part of this entire experience. Please come visit the sub, visit the Discord, like and subscribe to this video if you've enjoyed the content. And we'll have episode 5 out for you in 2 weeks' time. Or if you're listening to this in the future, you can watch it right now. So, thank you all for being here, and my name is Dawkinzz, and we'll see you next time.